ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is a podcast about professional wrestling. We're going to be talking about professional wrestling here for the next 2 hours or so, right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes or on your favorite podcast application. It is October 24th. In fact, let me rephrase that. I am recording this on October 24th. You're probably going to be listening to this on October 25th, but I appreciate you popping in, joining, listening, however way you're doing it. Thank you so much. If you're listening to this on YouTube right now, consider leaving a like and a subscription as well. I'm also on YouTube Music. If you're subscribed to that and you enjoy using the service, there's a great way to consume the podcast there as well, right on YouTube Music. This is brand new, brand spanking new, so take the time to check it out. I would appreciate it a great deal. And if you're listening to this on, your favorite podcast application, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, 5-star ratings on Spotify, also help grow the channel tremendously. And you know what? Speaking about new things, you might want to check in the description of this video. I'm beta testing with YouTube. They added me to their testing groups. We're beta testing quizzes embedded into the video. So within the first hour of the video here, I'll be dropping maybe 1 or 2 quizzes that you can find in the description of the video. You scroll down a little bit, or you thumb up on your phone, your device, and open up the description. You'll find the questions there for the quiz, along with the timestamp where that I'm referring to at the same time. So check that out. Give it a try. I mean, and let me know what you think about the quiz feature as well, because then I will return that feedback to YouTube. I've already got some thoughts that I want to share, and I want to gather more information. So if you want to help out on that end, hey, that'd be awesome. Join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. The link is in that same description as well. So if you want to come and join us and keep talking about pro wrestling, that would be fantastic. This Saturday, I'm doing a little something special for Halloween. I'm going to be streaming myself playing a video game, something I've never really done before, but I want to give it a try. I wanted to do something special for Halloween, and I'm going to be playing a Halloween themed game, of course, called The Quarry. It's one of these games that has a lot of choices, right? It's very choice based as opposed to shooting. It's not a first person shooter. It's choices. There's stuff happening. It's like watching an interactive movie, I guess. And The Quarry is it's basically an 80s slasher film. So I'm excited to try that out. Join in with people who the community who come and join me live on stream, so that we can make goofy decisions together and whatnot. Just have a good time. I'll be doing that this Saturday. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, on the channel on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, you'll see there's the live event has already been scheduled. So set a reminder and be sure to join me on Saturday for that. Come and say hello for Halloween. That will be great. Other than that, we got a busy show per usual. A lot of little news bits. We're going to be talking about CM Punk. Yeah. We're going to be talking about NWA. Yeah. We're going to be talking about Ring of Honor Final Battle. Going to be reviewing Impact Bound for Glory 2023. Spoiler alert. Great show. Going to be reviewing AEW Battle of the Belts VIII. Spoiler alert. Bad show. And a little preview of New Japan Strong Fighting Spirit Unleashed, which is happening this very weekend. So I think that pretty much covers it. Let's get right to it. The weekly wrestling inspection is here. So earlier a couple of days ago, right? I don't quite remember. I think it was last Thursday or something to that effect. We had heard, because things started to leak in regards to the big Impact Bound for Glory show, that Ace Steel had been brought in as a producer to work Impact Wrestling. And so that was something that immediately everyone started perking their ears up and go, oh, look at this. He's in Chicago and so on and so forth. And apparently he's been hired. Apparently he's working for Impact now. It wasn't like a tryout or a one-time thing. He absolutely He's apparently under contract now and working for the company. So, a lot of people went and put one and one together and were like, okay, what about old Punker? What about old CM Punk? What about old CM Phil? What about old Pepsi Phil? What about old Phil Brooks? What is he doing? He's probably got something to do around here, right? It was leaked, I should say, that CM Punk hung out backstage at Impact this weekend. Now maybe you're sitting here, you're sitting around and you're scratching your head and you're like, Warren, why are we talking about CM Punk again? Look, I've told you once, I'll tell you 1,000 times. We will always talk about CM Punk on this podcast. Always, always, always. The world of wrestling is more interesting with him doing shenanigans. That is unquestionable. We've been over this, but just in case you're new, I just want to make that clear. So we get a little snippet here, and a lot of people, even before it was leaked, were like, oh, maybe he'll show up at Bound for Glory. Could you imagine, right? And it got a lot of people to think about it, right? It's like, hey, do you think he might do Impact and so on and so forth? And I don't think he will, and I don't think he will. I think the next move he does, he wants to do it to stick it to Tony Khan. I think that's what he wants his next move to do. From everything, all of the very public behavior that we have seen over the years in regards to CM Punk, I think it's fairly safe to assume that his next big move, whatever he decides to do, it is something that will stick in Tony Khan's craw. And I don't think going to Impact, showing up in the Impact Zone, look at this hair tonight. I don't think showing up in the Impact Zone is going to be something that will be sticking it to TK. No disrespect to Impact or, yes, we'll get to the name change soon. We'll talk about that very soon when we do the Bound for Glory review. But, I don't think going to Impact would be perceived as that big of a deal. And in fact, and this is just perception, right? I don't think the move would be perceived as a big deal. What's Julio De Niro's ex-partner doing back in the Impact? I don't think it would be that big a move. I think a lot of people will be like, oh, he's going to the minor leagues, whatever, which I understand. All a question of perception, optics, right? I'm enjoying Impact Wrestling I've been enjoying it for the past, most of the year, actually. As I've been reviewing the shows here, but, he could go. Here's why I think he might go. Like, on one hand, I think he won't go, but if he were to go, I believe it would be in a position where he wants to stick it. I said that already. Where he wants to rehabilitate. Just follow your notes, Warren. Where you have to rehabilitate he wants to rehabilitate his image, right? He just wants to, go back into an environment and wrestle and not be problematic. Maybe show the WWE, right? Because ultimately we know if he truly wants to stick it to Tony Khan, that's what he's going to do. He's going to go back to WWE, and Tony Khan's going to tweet through it, and it's going to be a good time for all. And but I think that's what he's. I think if he does go back, I think if he did go to Impact, it'd be to really rehabilitate his image, show to WWE, hey, look, I've worked really well with all of the wonderful people of Impact Wrestling. The locker room issues were all on AEW side. Look at me. I just want to wrestle. which is something that he had been saying upon his return to AEW, if you remember correctly, right? He had been saying, I just want to wrestle. I want to, wrestle with the new guys, and I want to put over, so on and so forth. So, there's a bit of a situation where it's like, put your money where your mouth is, Philip. And, if you want to wrestle, go wrestle. Go wrestle anywhere. That might be, those are the two sides to it. Let's put it that way that I see here. And, as we're mentioning as it's mentioned in the chat, it's like, they'll probably have to mortgage the house to to hire CM Punk for like maybe even like 2 or 3 appearances. Obviously his price is very up there, and that's most likely something that is keeping him from signing on. But frankly, if the Impact locker room is tight, as we are led to believe, if it is very tight, very chill, very cool, a good place, a good environment, why on God's green flat earth would you dare to bring in, a disruptive element like CM Punk? Like, why would you even try to do that? There's that little bit of stuff where it's like, do you as a company take the risk, or because here's the thing, what is his value, CM Punk, at this stage, right? What would be his value? Comes in, ratings boost, right? You get everyone tuning in. You get a whole bunch of new eyeballs there onto Impact. But then what happens when he goes? It's not unlike when Kenny Omega was working Impact. 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and he was showing up there. Remember, the first few matches, the first few appearances, people would tune in and pop tremendous ratings for Impact, and I don't think they really retained all that many people, right? I think people really did tune in for the curiosity of seeing Kenny Omega on the show and what is he going to do next, kind of thing. And Punk, well, I mean, it's inevitable. He goes to this company. He shows up on a random Thursday night. You're gonna want to, take a look at what's happening. You're gonna tune in, but are you going to stay? Are you going to remain a watcher? And how much can CM Punk really move as far as numbers? Because right now, and look, on the show itself, right? We don't spend tons of time talking about TV ratings, and there are places out there that will provide you with excellent analysis when it comes to TV ratings and the business of sports television as well, such as WrestleNomics, of course. But I still look at the ratings because I'm interested in this aspect of it. And I think it's important to stay aware of it. As it stands right now, since CM Punk has left, was fired from AEW, Collision has pretty much been in the ratings environment that he was in while he was still in the company. Since, of course, the first episode is the first episode. You'll probably not be able to achieve that level of rating success on a regular basis again moving forward. So that was something special. But everything after sort of tapered off in that space, in this environment that Collision has been in ever since Punk was fired and, did what he did at Wembley and the subsequent events that followed, leading us into All Out 2023. So I think he's, we had spoken about this in the past, and I wrote an article about it on Voices of Wrestling. I think CM Punk is diminishing returns, and he is heavily diminishing returns. I think he jacks up. He'll get the curiosity ratings bump. He'll get the let's go take a look. Let's have a little look-see. But I don't know if he's a guy who can sustain it, because Collision's doing fine without him. Collision, for the Saturday night, I can't imagine Warner Bros. Discovery being upset with the performance of the show so far. And we've started to notice the patterns of, when there's a WWE PLE that eats into the viewership tremendously. So we know now that when WWE has something on a Saturday night, it's just going to chew away at the competition. That's fine. But everything else has pretty much been the same. It hasn't really changed much. So I don't know, it's the same kind of argument that I have in regards to WWE as well, and WWE, this is, wild. It's a wild thought to have, but WWE has even less reason to want to bring CM Punk into the company, at least right now, than Impact Wrestling, because, they have the perception of being on fire. They have the perception of being, the top show and everything, they're doing everything well and, doing great business, which they are. I'm not trying to be facetious here. In the locker rooms, everything's all set up. Why would you come and throw this wild card into the mix? This tremendous wild card, right? I'm not saying that it'll never happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. They still might find a spot to negotiate and have an appearance at the Survivor Series this year, which are in Chicago, right? So that, they might. I actually think they might pull the CM Punk card when their stuff is up. When their ratings start to drop, when business starts to struggle a little bit, that's when they call old Phil. They say, hey, CM, why don't you come work? We got an opening for you now. Creative's got something for you. So I feel like, what is CM Punk's space? What is his spot now in 2023? It's a guy who came in, who returned, I should say, from, a self-imposed exile. We've likened it to the prodigal son coming home, the Messiah, whatever you want to call it, But the guy who essentially represented the hardcore fans' disdain with WWE programming finally returns, and the monopoly finally returns. He's part of the company that, in extremis, he helped build in extremis, I should say. And then he just fires it all to hell and does what he does best, which is, walk out angrily with grudges, burning bridges. A lot of the good faith that he had when he returned evaporated. And, from myself as well, I was very excited for his return. Look, we're not going back down that road again. The point I'm trying to make here is that now that, as contemporaries, in this modern age of pro wrestling where, maybe the newer fans who had only heard of these legends of CM Punk. Now that they've lived through them, do they want him back? Do they want him in their WWE? Or do we want him at all? What is his value? What is legitimately CM Punk's value now in 2023? Quick business boosts for sure, but sustainably, injury prone, temper prone. There's a lot that can go wrong. I can't deny that there'd be there'd be a business uptick, but it'd be very, very high at the start, and I don't think it's sustainable, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it is sustainable. Did you hear that everyone's favorite promotion, the one that everyone follows religiously, the National Wrestling Alliance, has signed television deals, or at least reportedly has signed 2 television deals with the CW network? That's right. You can't, look, let me read the article here off of the Observer Figure 4 online, if you don't mind, if that's okay with you. Billy Corgan teased last week. This all came down on October 18, which was last Wednesday. So the day after I record, of course, some juicy news drops on a day that I can't cover it properly. So this is why we're talking about it here. The NWA reportedly is reportedly heading to the CW network here. Billy Corgan teased last week during an appearance on Busted Open Radio that his promotion had recently signed with a quote-unquote top 20 network. And according to a report from House of Wrestling, both television deals are with the CW, and an official announcement is coming relatively soon. I had heard about this a few months ago. Wasn't sure if there was any credence to this, but here's the idea here. The deal apparently is for 2 shows. It is believed that one of the 2 deals is for the rights to the wrestling show, NWA Power, and the other is for a reality TV series based on what happens behind the scenes. And that would actually, I'm not sure if it's, it's already, the production has already been done, or if it's like currently in production and wrapping up. Like apparently this had been going on I've heard that this has been going on for a while. That we had these cameras following people around for a reality show. Want to maximize on that big Tyrus retirement. Gonna get all the feels on that one. Gonna get everyone like all sobbing. What a great man. Oh, the memories. At least we have the memories. That's the problem, though. We have the memories. So that's interesting. My own feelings about the NWA aside, I think it's tremendous that we can get more wrestling on television. I think it's a tremendous thing. More wrestling is a good thing because everyone benefits. And if Billy can get on TV, and I'm not surprised because Act Billy had been going after YouTube for months at this point. Just tearing at its business model, saying how shitty it is and so on and so forth. So, I think he had this deal in the can for a while, and now they're finally ready to announce it. And, I'm kind of excited at the idea of more TV. Because listen, the more wrestling we get on TV and the better it performs, the better it is for everyone. It makes, I can only hope that NWA Power on CW, let's say, does well, generates good ratings, and creates another spot where guys and gals can go to wrestle and make a decent payday out of it, right? NWA, we've talked about this as well. This, is an important part of the North American wrestling ecosystem. Corgan wants to push it. He wants to make it a big TV deal, and that's fine. And I'm okay with that. And he should absolutely, maximize his investment and whatnot. But look, we've got two major league wrestling shows on TV right now, a 40-year-old stalwart and a 4-year-old startup. You've got the NWA coming back. You've got Impact, on Access. These are all positives for everyone in pro wrestling, and even as a fan. And MLW is part of that ecosystem as well, where guys and gals can just go to these places, can go to these places to move up, hone their craft, make some more contacts, work in front of cameras, so on and so forth, different environments, and move up to hopefully one of the larger promotions. On the opposite side, some of the people who get cast off from the larger promotions for whatever reasons still have places to go work and where they can still make a buck. We'll have a few examples of those a little later on. So it's important for this ecosystem that NWA sticks around, and it's, by it getting some television, it will only solidify its spot and improve it, make it better. Can only hope that the TV will be as good as Powers, right? Which were well produced, well put together shows. It's fine. So at the very least, you can hope that, and you can hope that it can get better numbers. Because look, if it starts getting better numbers, more people tune in. You get more ratings. If the Suits and all of these in all these environments start seeing that pro wrestling draws ratings as live programming and whatnot, well, everyone benefits. WWE, AEW, everyone on the chain benefits. And of course, the wrestlers who can stand to make more money. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that for your favorite pro wrestler then? So you see, like, this is, it's all fantastic. Because I'm very much a proponent for more wrestling. We, it's a theme here where I don't understand anyone who complains about there being too much pro wrestling. Hey, Everything Pro Wrestling is here. Our boy Conrad from the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. Nice to see you, Conrad. Welcome. But I don't understand why people complain about that. Because I saw it again this week, and I made a note of it on the old Blue Sky. Because I'm there, very active. Well, more active. And, I opened up a discussion over there on the Blue Sky about it. It fascinates me when I see people complain, when they say there is too much wrestling. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand as a fan why you'd complain about that. Like, if you love something, don't you want more of it? Don't you? And even if you don't, even if you're like, hey, you know what? I'd like to watch more, but I don't have time or whatever, and that, which is absolutely okay. No one expects you as a fan to watch everything. You can be like, well, there's choices for everyone, whatever the fuck. You can, at the very least, you can still stick to what you really like, right? At the very least. Then I see bozos, like people who work covering wrestling for a living, who who do this as their job complaining there's way too much wrestling. When this is their job, where they have websites or they have writing gigs or whatever the fuck, or podcasts, there's too much wrestling. That blows my mind, though. That absolutely blows my mind. If your job is if you make a living out of covering pro wrestling, you should be rubbing your hands together and going, here's the gravy train. Now's the time to get on board and maximize the amount of coverage we can do, because then that'll mean more clicks and I will be able to pay back my loan to have started when I started up this business or whatever. I don't understand it. It just means more money. It means more stuff for you to do. It makes you more relevant. And yet we're going to sit here and we're going to bitch that there's too much. Look, just come out and say it. I think I would have much more respect. I would have much more respect for someone who says there's too much pro wrestling out there right now. I would have much more respect if just they came out, flat out said, I wish there was only WWE still. At least you're not pretending, you're not making up a problem. You're not creating an issue. You know, it's like a few months ago when I was tugging my hair out of my head, where people would go on the Tony Khan media calls and say, wow, Tony, 11 matches? You know, have you ever thought about doing less or whatever? I'm like, who cares? Like, this is not too much wrestling, too many wrestling matches is not a wrestling fan concern. And I will always say this. This is a content creator concern. It is a journalist concern. It is a website owner concern. It's something that's made up by people who objectively don't like all the wrestling, which is fine, but are trying to make an issue, trying to create a thing that there's too much wrestling because it's not the wrestling to their taste. They'd prefer to just cover WWE. Well, go ahead and do it. Just be upfront and tell me right out the gate, look, my website is going to just cover WWE now, because I don't want to pay staff more to cover this and that. And besides, they're the biggest in the world, so I'm getting all the clicks, which is true. Like, I am convinced that a site, let's say, that runs only WWE news versus only New Japan news, I'm convinced that the WWE site will be much more, will make a lot more money faster than the New Japan only site. I would assume so. Like I said, these are made up issues that fans don't care about. And I will be goddamned if I sit here and I start telling you all, wow, listen, there's really, they should really shorten the shows and whatnot. And you know what my main complaint was about? One of my main complaints about WrestleMania this year is that there's too much bullshit. Get to the fucking matches. I get it. But it's not even a thing with WWE. They did it at fucking what was it? Payback, the last one, that mediocre one that they did, the John Cena LA Knight tag team match. And they're doing all the big entrances and everyone's taking their time. Like, this is a B side. This is this is a B pay-per-view, but yet we're pulling out all the pageantry. Who fucking cares? Get to the fucking matches. I watch an AEW pay-per-view. That's what I get. I get back-to-back matches. There's no bullshit. They're not wasting my time. Same thing with Bound for Glory this weekend. Because there's a difference, because I just saw this in the chat here, and I want to make sure that this gets addressed. I hope I'm addressing it properly. Where it's like, A 3-hour Raw does not contain 3 hours of wrestling, right? It's not a question of there's too much wrestling. I think there might be too much bullshit. Plus, you don't have to watch everything. You as a fan, you don't have to watch everything. Even myself. And again, just want to underscore this because I say this every time. I don't do this for a living. So I'm not dependent on, memberships on the YouTube channel or, ad revenue. I'm not dependent on sponsorships to make a living. So I have all the freedom I want to talk about just whatever I want. And I know there's websites and organizations that don't have that luxury because they have to pay the bills. They have to keep the lights on. They have to pay their staff by driving traffic to these sites or listening to their podcasts or sending them to their YouTube channel or their Twitch channel or whatever. So I understand that I'm speaking from a place of privilege where I say, cover whatever the fuck you want. I understand some people know that that's not the game and they have to do other things to make money. So absolutely, the fact that I can give WWE a minimal presence on my podcast is a luxury that I can afford myself. Would it be the same thing if I were completely all in on this? Probably not. I'm not stupid. I know how things go. But, I have this possibility of doing it. So I understand all of this. And I understand my position in all of it. But what I beg of content creators to do is not bitch because there's too much stuff to cover. When there's too much wrestling to cover, when you are in this business, making money, trying to carve a niche out for yourself, whatever you want to call it, an interviewer, a podcaster, a journalist, a recapper, a reviewer, bitching that there's too much content baffles me. Baffles me. You don't have to watch everything. And you don't have to cover everything, but you've got choice. You've got there's so many opportunities for you right now. I can't believe anyone is out there publicly saying there's too much wrestling. First of all, there's always been too much wrestling. The difference is that these days, because of streaming services, because of the internet, it's so much easier to get wrestling from all across the globe, from independents, 5 states removed from you, to Japan, to England, to Mexico. It's never been easier. But there's always been this wrestling. There's always been this amount of wrestling. It's just so much easier to access now. There's so much more of it on cable television. And these are all net positives for an industry in which you are trying to work in, that you are trying to, that you are involved in to try and make a living for yourself. There's so much rest. You should be happy instead of complaining. It's weird to me. I'll tell you something else. Talking about this, if the NWA works out, they'll probably be even more. I'm sure there's people who've groaned. We're like, oh, I'm going to have to cover NWA now that it's on CW. You don't, Jesus. I'll tell you, if the Iron Claw, the Von Erich film, the movie on the Von Erichs, if the Iron Claw is even remotely successful, there's going to be tons of wrestling movies that are going to follow, because that's how Hollywood works. That's how entertainment works. Someone's going to try something, and if it's successful, then next thing you know, we're going to get a Mil Máscaras biopic. Maybe we'll end up getting the Hulk Hogan biopic with Chris Hemsworth. Maybe we'll get the Vince McMahon one. The point is that we're going to get more and more of of wrestling stuff, if wrestling stuff starts to connect. You know, the Iron Claw, from what I understand, minimal budget, like $20.6 million was the budget. Like, that is teeny tiny as far as 2023 Hollywood standards go. Mini. If they make 50 million back, it's going to be considered a success. People are going to want more of those. People are going to be like, oh shit, people really like wrestling biopics. Yeah, the Hogan biopic will be fluff, but that's not the point. You know, it absolutely will be. You know, they're not even going to remotely cover the really juicy stuff. But the point being is that there's going to be more of those. There's going to be more histories romanticized through film of pro wrestling. If that's just how it goes. Entertainment rides waves. We got to talk about this Honor Club stuff. Well, not Honor Club, but Final Battle. Right? The next pay-per-view for Ring of Honor. It was announced that it's going to be exclusively on Honor Club. This is the show that is happening on December 15 from the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas. I think that's what they ran last year. Now, I don't know why a lot of people are surprised by this. Like, this made news, tons of news yesterday. As when I'm recording this on Tuesday, October 24th. Yesterday or the day before. And people said I was smug for pointing this out in the Discord, but I'm still pointing it out. Because when they announced it, it was written in the graphic exclusively on Honor Club. But then for some reason, someone picked up on it 2 days later, and then it ran with it, and then everyone ran with it, right? Doesn't matter. The state of it all. But it turns out that Final Battle is not going to be on Fight TV. It's not going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be exclusively on Honor Club. What does that tell us? Something that, you know, despite not being privy to any numbers per se, any exact data, we all assumed that subscriptions for Honor Club were probably dropping, were very low, and this is a way to get an influx of new subscribers. No, but Warren, I don't want to subscribe to Honor Club for the month. Well, listen, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, you're getting a pay-per-view, a Ring of Honor pay-per-view for $10, $10 US. Whereas, what were they? Like 30? Wasn't that about the price? I can't quite remember. And about that, $29.99 for the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, something to that effect. So $40, I'm being told in the chat. Well, there you go. So as a consumer, this is a steal. Like, you know, if you were going to shell out $40 just for the one show, might as well shell out the $9 and get on the streaming service. And then at the same time, you'll have access to everything, the shows and past shows and whatnot. You know, I kind of think that this is indicative of the trend that we're seeing with streaming services now moving forward. Kind of started with the WWE network being sunset and all that. I think, you know, because that's the look. Here's the thing: Tony Khan is in a position right now where he needs more people to subscribe to Honor Club, and he is ready to sacrifice a pay-per-view payday. You know, like a 15 to 20,000 buys. He's ready to sacrifice that, a fourth of the price, to get people to subscribe to his service, and then maybe, hopefully, you know, have some retention, have some people forget. Oh shit, I forgot to. It happens to the best of us, right? Oops, forgot to unsubscribe. Another $10 went through in Honor Club. Shit, you know, that's what he's hoping for. But that, I think it's indicative, right? It's indicative to how precarious these streaming services are, where it's like if you don't have the people, if you don't have the bodies subscribing, jumping in, joining, it's doomed to fail. And we're in a position right now where just a couple of days ago, I saw a report that I think over the past quarter has demonstrated the highest amount of churn amongst subscribers of the big streaming services in the United States, like Netflix and Apple TV and Disney Plus and all of that. And churn, of course, being people unsubscribing, right? The people leaving the service, churn. And it's, you know, the biggest recorded amount of unsubscriptions in you know, since everything started. So you can see people are just exhausted about this, and that, you know, the fact that Tony feels that he has to give up some pay-per-views, give up some buys, probably some bigger money to get people on his service to keep that afloat. I think it's very telling. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know all of the intricacies of, you know, what ultimately you pay out in fees to pay-per-view carriers, you know, whether it's cable providers, whether it's Bleacher Report, Fight TV. Of course, all of these services charge a fee. Maybe they keep, you know, something akin to, you know, a commission, a little percentage that they hang on to, depending on the number of buys or whatnot. But, you know, Tony, at the end of the day, after carrier services, he doesn't keep the entire 100%, you know, he doesn't go home with the entire pie. So maybe to him, this makes a lot more sense. Maybe there's something that we don't see that makes a lot more sense than just the optics of it, of him dipping into his pay-per-view buys to send people to Ring of Honor, to Honor Club, I should say. Maybe there's something more to that. Maybe it ends up the $10 for Honor Club is more advantageous for him. Maybe that's what he ends up paying. It would be ridiculous. I don't think that's true. Look, it's hard to imagine that cable operators and pay-per-view distributors online would take like $30 off of a Ring of Honor pay-per-view buy, and Tony would only be left with 10. Like, I don't think that's logical. I don't think that makes sense. I really don't think it makes sense. You know, YouTube takes 30%, for instance, off of stuff that off of what I make with, super chats and the like. They take a 30% cut. I can't imagine it would be higher than that for, you know, major broadcasts like this. I don't know. If you think about it, the theory of, well, maybe it all evens out. You know, maybe he makes as much off of Honor Club as he does off of a pay-per-view. It doesn't make sense. But that's still where we're at right now. Now there's a rumor going around that I've heard this, that that AEW is Pro Wrestling Insider is reporting this, that AEW is looking to set up a pay-per-view on December 30th. Now this is also maybe, just maybe, another reason why we're sending people to Honor Club to watch Final Battle, so that they don't have to pay a premium AEW pay-per-view and a premium Ring of Honor pay-per-view in the same month. Like at 2 weeks apart, right? Right, because Final Battle would be on December 15th, and the rumored pay-per-view for AEW would be on December 30th, if that's the thing that indeed happens. But I did, the rumor is going around, and Tony does want to go to, multiple more pay-per-views in the year. So on that level, maybe he's saying to himself, well, we'll send people to Honor Club, boost up the subscriptions, they'll only pay $10, and then the bank won't be broken for the AEW pay-per-view. Could be a thing. Not paying premium price for 2 pay-per-views. So that could also be something that justifies going to Honor Club for this pay-per-view. I also heard they wanted to run the Hammerstein. Can't remember how you say it. I think it's Hammerstein, right? Hammerstein Ballroom. The Manhattan Center, which I think they wanted to run this for Final Battle. The Hammerstein was like the home of Final Battle, so I think that's something they wanted. Again, these are just very, very faint echoes that I'm hearing. It's like that maybe AEW is going to end up running AEW is going to end up running the Hammerstein. In December. And I'm like, that's weird. That's really weird. Not that the Hammerstein is not has no significance to wrestling fans, wrestling history in North America. But, you're going from, it would be a strange affair to go to New York and run a room that, 2,200 people, 2,300 people can get packed in for a show. Like it's not a fantastic venue for a big time wrestling show. You know what I mean? It's not that big for a big time for a big time promotion, for a nationally broadcast promotion like this. I just saying. But maybe, look, but as it stands right now, that's what we're doing. That's where we're heading. Final Battle exclusively on Honor Club. As a consumer, you should be happy about that. You want to pay for it. So we'll see as we move along. Now, we're going to get into some nitty-gritty here. Now it's time to review Impact Bound for Glory 2023, which happened this weekend on October 21st from the Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois. Standing room only, we were told. Apparently the place was jam-packed for this big-time show, and I really, really liked the show. I think right now, I think it's one of my favorite wrestling shows of the year. I thought it was a tremendous effort put on by everyone at Impact. Just some amazing stuff. From top to bottom, I've got no complaints. It's not true. I've got some quibbles. But this was a very strong pay-per-view. Unquestionably, my favorite Impact show of the year. And something again, look, the formula is simple, minimal bullshit, in and out of matches. You're just running through. Next thing you know, easy breezy. You're 3 hours into the show and you're like, holy shit, this is wrapping up. This was a tremendous show and a legitimate breeze to watch. I don't know if you've watched it, but I highly recommend it. Of course, like on any wrestling show, there's things I really like, things I love, things I didn't like as much, but you know, nothing that you're going to lose your mind over. And Impact is in a good spot again. But it's been in a good spot all year. You know, I found, you know, what was the last, I can never remember their pay-per-view names. Was it Slammiversary, the last one? The last show they had, I thought it was, I was like, man, are they out of steam? What are they doing here? But we got into this one here. And this one just delivered from top to bottom. Like, this was tremendous stuff. And I've been telling you this most of the year as well. I don't watch the week to week for Impact, but I don't miss the pay-per-views because they hit more often than they miss. And this was not only a hit, this was a home run. Started off with the Impact X Division title match, of course. X Division should open the show where Chris Sabin successfully retained his title against Kenta. And I thought this was a pretty good opener. We even had a version of Kenta who showed up to work, which was good. And you know, we get Chris Sabin, who, you know, he's always ready to work. He always shows up to work. Great stuff throughout the match. Tremendous senton by Sabin off the apron. Lands a crossbody as well. Kenta gets a big heat segment. Lands the draping DDT and the coup de grace, but Sabin kicks out. Kenta motions to do the GTS in a really fun moment. But he gives the double bird instead. And if Pepsi Phil was indeed backstage, here's the question I have. If Pepsi Phil was indeed backstage hanging out, did he go meet up with Kenta as Kenta was coming into the gorilla position after his match to ask him if he had a problem? Did he take a swing at Kenta? No. You could only do really obtuse references. That's what gets Phil mad. Anyway, Sabin wins with the cradle shock. Good match. Good little match to open the show. I really enjoyed it. Now, this pay-per-view, before we move on to the next match, had a couple of matches on it where I was very apprehensive. I was a little worried about the quality of the match. I was like, oh man, this might stink. Like, I had them circled. And one of these matches that had me a little angsty, a little nervous, was the Monsters Ball 4-way match. But it turned out it was all right. Wouldn't say it was great. I'm not, climbing up the walls telling you that this was a tremendous affair. But you know what? It was fun. Fun little match. Nothing that we will ever remember or speak of again. But I did not feel like I wasted my time here. PCO won it, defeated Moose, Rhino, and Steve Macklin. PCO, who had been reported that his time with Impact was coming to an end. And then he wins this weekend at Bound for Glory. And then today, there's an entire thing where he's re-signed with Impact. So, okay. As I wasn't expecting him to win, but he did. And good for him. And, he takes these insane bumps. He gets back body dropped over the top rope onto a ladder set up like a bridge. Like that none of that can feel good. He sentons off the turnbuckle, onto the apron. Steve Maclin in this match, at some point, he just destroys everyone. And that's right. Steve Maclin is so good. This is a guy who has risen to the occasion every time. And he has become a real deal for this company. There's tacks that are pulled out. You've got like a platform of cinder blocks on the floor. Because the boring old exposed cement arena floor of the Cicero Arena is not enough for the Monsters Ball. No, we have to have cinder blocks. And on top of those, tacks. Moose powerbombs PCO on the tacks and he misses. He gets PCO like right on the edge of the cinder. He kind of flubbed the move. PCO landed too high up on his shoulders. It was a bit of a gruesome one. I was like, come on, Moose, get your fucking act together. Especially, considering that I don't care for Moose much. And then Bully Ray shows up, tosses Maclin off of the top rope onto a table. They've got beef. PCO wins the match. So, again, I thought this was fun. But here's what I don't want you to think. I don't want you to think that this was like the greatest thing of all time. First of all, look. I don't know if you hear that in the background, but that is my dog Juno. Currently expressing her discontent to something my son is doing. My son is probably trying to discipline her and she's being a hothead. Apologies for the dog noises. Look, I have issues with Moose that are prevalent. I don't like Moose, don't care for Moose. That's fine. The whole PCO, I've mentioned this multiple times. I personally, myself, am done with PCO and the sick bumps stuff. I've seen them. We've been through it. It's fine. I am ready to move on from PCO. He doesn't bring anything really to the table where I get excited about. And again, he takes tremendous bumps, but I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this, I'm expecting this at this point, right? And I don't understand, there's a point where you really do ask yourself, do I need to continue mangling my body? Because, probably he says to himself, this is all I've got left. This is all I can do because of my body is already in this shape. I'm not suddenly going to become, Bryan Danielson out of nowhere. I understand. Rhino was in this match. I can barely remember anything Rhino did. Didn't jot anything down of note. But Maclin rules. It's a fun little time. Nothing that'll make you angry. Nothing that'll make you, stay up at night for good or ill. But Moose right now, he's got the briefcase gimmick. He's got the Feast or Fire thing, the title shot, right? That worries me. With this new era that we're about to get into, they're gonna strap him up again. He's a big deal in Impact, I get it. But he's a turnoff for moi. Couldn't care less. Then we had a tremendous Impact World Tag Team title match where the Bullet Club team of Ace Austin and Chris Bay, also known as ABC, defeated the Rascals in a tremendous match. This ruled. fiery opening sequence of double team moves by ABC, and so do the Rascals as well. Trey Miguel neck breakers Ace Austin, off the apron. Austin later on fires back and gets a Fosbury flop on the Rascals. Some tremendous, there's just tremendous sequences throughout this entire match. High octane and just like good tag team wrestling, like good, fun, dynamic, high speed tag team wrestling. Wentz accidentally sprays Miguel in the face, which allows the ABC to land their finisher for the 1-2-3. I was like, the spray paint spot, it's one of those spots where the guy goes, and he keeps doing it, even though he's clearly realized that he's spraying his partner in the face. He's still doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, boys, just stop. And so look, the Bullet Club guys are tag team champions again. I can't say this enough. The Ace Austin and Chris Bay as a tag team are tremendously underrated and underappreciated right now. I think they're one of the top tag teams, top 10 tag teams in the world right now. Just absolutely remarkable stuff. And I think they're really underappreciated, probably because of where they're stationed right now, Impact and whatnot. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But every time these guys get into, similar weight class, similar working styles, they just tear the house down. This was tremendous, an absolute barn burner, as they say, and it was the same thing when they'd fight Subculture, for instance. Just awesome matches. Well, but they're world-class wrestlers, both of these guys. Top tier, world-class professional wrestlers. And they can hang with the best of the tag teams out there right now. And there's a lot of tag teams who are on bigger shows, in bigger promotions, that can't lace these guys' boots. I really believe that. Great match. Then you want to talk about great matches? You want to talk about classics? You want to talk about match of the year contenders? Will Ospreay defeated Mike Bailey. Just tremendous match. This was the match that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania weekend this year in March. And Will Ospreay got injured. Now we got it here, and it was outstanding. Just impeccable stuff. Just one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. Probably the greatest professional wrestler walking on earth today, hanging there with Mike Bailey, who has the work ethic and the skills to get it done and keep up. We talk about it quite a bit here. Will can get a great match out of anyone. But then you want to take it to another level. There's a certain part that depends on you. And Bailey was able to respond here. If anything, this is an icing on the cake situation in regards to how good Mike Bailey has become. And this one, look, they're in the ring, they're trading strikes and having, landing big time moves on each other. And there's the final third of this match is just chef's kiss. Just amazing stuff. They have a tremendous kick exchange that ends with a hidden blade by Will Ospreay. Goes for the Os Cutter, gets countered by a code breaker from Mike Bailey. Ultimo Weapon lands for Bailey. He winds up to go with the windmill kicks, but Will Ospreay plasters him instead. Bayley wriggles out of the Stormbreaker with a Rana, does the standing moonsault, and hits the Meteor Rain, which we had not seen in a long time, which is basically a twisting fireman's, not fireman's, but a twisting fisherman's suplex. Tremendous. Get a Styles Clash by Will Ospreay and the Tiger Driver 91. Had Bayley land on his noggin. But Bayley can be put away with that. Well, a Hidden Blade and a Stormbreaker will get it done, but amazing, tremendous, worth the hype. Go out of your way to watch it. Find it somewhere. This was an all-timer. And, if you can't, if you want to make this a match of the year, go right ahead. Like, for me, like, if I were to give this a 5-star rating, I would give this a 4 3/4. I can't go full 5 because it was just missing a little something. And it's weird to say, but so for me, it's not a match of the year. But if you want to call this a match of the year, put that on your list. Hell, I'm not going to argue with you. I get it. I see it. This match was amazing. And this is all happening, right? This is all happening while Will Ospreay is talking about, exploring every option for his next big wrestling contract, right? He spoke to Sports Illustrated in the build-up to Bound for Glory last week. He says that Impact is in the running of companies he could sign with when his New Japan contract comes up in February. Here's a quote from Ospreay. The deal is up in February and we're still in negotiations. I'm looking to explore every single option in every single avenue. Impact Wrestling is in the running for my next home. I'm willing to test the waters, so this match against Mike Bailey is a real treat for me, and I'm excited to do it, especially with what could happen next year. And he came out since saying that Impact is a tremendous place to work. He put the organization over big time. He put it over big time. And so, his free agency is coming up, and he is absolutely, the most coveted pro wrestling free agent in the world right now. And he is looking at all options. He's looking at, he's still negotiating with New Japan. He said that as well. Of course, AEW is in the running, and he's keeping an open mind for WWE as well, right? Which he should, because he wants, he wants the most, he wants the more money, he wants more money. He wants to look after Will. I understand all of that. And it makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't he? I'd probably do the same in his position. But, there's going to be a lot of drama around here. And look, here's the thing. He's talking about, Impact is absolutely in the running, and so is WWE. Look, Will is a worker, and Will is a very good. He's a worker, and he's good at it. He's good at feeding information, and he knows how these negotiations go. Oh, you drop a little tidbit here, you say something nice about this promotion over here. You just keep, they keep the information flowing. You keep people guessing, and is stuff that your negotiators can all lean into when it's time to find a new home. Can be like, oh yeah, but he was really well treated at Impact, and so on and so forth. Apparently, he secured the services of Barry Bloom, big time agent well known for helping some of the biggest names in pro wrestling secure contracts, historically speaking, even recently. The Jacksons, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. I mean, he's up there. He should get every penny he's worth. Funny because, it was being reported saying, he secured Barry Bloom because he wants to get the most money that he can. So then people are like, oh, so he's going to WWE then. So this means he's going to WWE confirmed. No, that's not what that means. And it's a weird thing to say when you consider that Barry Bloom just renegotiated the contracts for the Elite. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to WWE. And I mean, look, if he does, he does. And honestly, look, whatever Will Ospreay wants to do for his career, for his family, he's been talking a lot about that as well. He has, his child now, his stepson. I don't know how you call that exactly. It's it's his friend's kid, and I guess it's his son, straight up, right? And his new girlfriend. He wants to set them up. He wants to be a good provider. He wants to make sure that everyone's all set. What does whatever Will Ospreay wants to do is best for Will Ospreay, right? Now, speaking as a fan, I, of course, would be very sad for him to go to WWE because that means I won't see him as much. I will not be seeing him as often. It also means that he'll be shut off from working any other date anywhere for any other promotion than the Fed. So again, that's always part of Will's charm, to show up at the oddest places. Don't forget, he went and wrestled Nick Wayne that one time in GCW, right? Because he's Nick Wayne's favorite wrestler. So, I mean, as a fan, kind of hope he does it. But I also understand if he does. This is a man who has put his body through massive wear and tear. Massive wear and tear. And we all sort of expect a level of physical investment in a Will Ospreay match, right? As fans, as wrestling fans, we sort of expect them to do certain things, let's put it that way, which aren't always necessarily ideal for his body, especially if it's banged up. So if he hits the bricks to WWE and starts working the house style, he doesn't have to work as hard. WWE fans don't care about the work rate. As long as Will has something that they can chant to or dance to or sing along with, he'll be fine. Because they don't really mind about the work rate. They don't need him, doing crazy ass, final sequences like he did with Mike Bailey. It feels like this tour that he's on right now, everything that he's doing, from Royal Quest and going to Impact and doing all of it, it feels like there's something very farewell-ish about it. There's something about it where it's like, yeah. I gotta try and squeeze out as much as I can here. Wrestle all the people that I want to wrestle before I get chained up, kind of thing. Maybe. I'm not saying that's it, but it does feel that way, and adds credence to him going to WWE. So, if he does, good for him, because I'll be sure that he's making gobs of money. Then I'm sure you're right there listening to me right now. You're shaking your fist and you're like, Warren, he's AEW. Don't worry. I don't know. I honestly don't know when it comes to Will. I really don't know. I can absolutely see him doing the WWE thing, and I can absolutely see him caving in and going to AEW. And he said, I think he was quoted, I believe, today, saying that he'd be willing to relocate, right? Wasn't it today? Or look, time is a wibbly wobbly. So maybe Will has something here where he's just, again, angling to make the most money, and maybe AEW, maybe AEW doesn't seem as sure as a bet as it was. And, quite honestly, I don't even know if AEW is the best place for him either. Not with the way things have been booked over, not necessarily for him, but overall in the past 18 months or so, the past year to 18 months. There's been some very, very high spots, but these days creative is woo, yish, hinoosh, flumchum. There's a lot of stuff going on in AEW right now. Weird booking decisions and strange patterns. And Tony has his weird ass patterns, right? So I honestly don't know. With AEW, he'd probably have a little more freedom to do other dates, so on and so forth. Maybe he can work less dates, but creatively speaking, as far as his push goes, as far as Will Ospreay, international superstar, guaranteed Hall of Famer, absolute wrestling legend, Will Ospreay going to AEW. I don't think it's as much of a shoo-in as you think it might be. Look at how they handled Jay White's arrival, right? Because Jay White, maybe they're not on the exact same level of ultra superstardom, but Jay White is a superstar. And there was a bidding war for him. And he just came in and he was... They had him involved with Sean Spears, okay? Jay White, multiple time, IWGP, heavyweight champion, Grand Slam IWGP champion, by the way. Main evented in the Tokyo Dome in Madison Square Garden. Jay White. They bring him in and they put him in a program where Sean Spears is involved. That is booking malpractice. So again, I'm not super... Look, Will is on another stratosphere. There's only one stratosphere. He's on another level of air of the planet that doesn't roll off the tongue at all. He's on a completely different level from everyone else. I think we all agree on this, right? I just don't know if AEW is that safe. 2 years ago, to me, there was no doubt. Will Ospreay rise in AEW and it's gold. At this point, I'm not saying that it'd be terrible, but I'm a little more, I'm not as confident. How about that? I'm not as confident in telling you it's going to be the perfect landing space for him. I'd like him to go there because I watch AEW every week. I think it's the best week to week. Dynamite is the best week to week wrestling television show, nonetheless. That I'm, despite its warts, its occasional vignettes, despite its occasional brochacho, Dynamite is still the best weekly wrestling television show, bar none. So of course I would like Will Ospreay to be in an environment that I frequent, And, as Chad is pointing out, AEW probably means that he has a little leeway to work dates and other promotions, go back to New Japan, work Britain. Like, he's not locked into WWE, right? And maybe, just maybe, maybe he'd be tied into plans with WWE. Look, this NXT Europe thing I keep hearing about. Is this the face of NXT Europe? Anyway, he's open to relocating to the US. He wants to make money for his kid. He could be just spewing all sorts of stuff just to get, the fans riled up, to get, he's been in discussions in articles every other day in the Observer, and Dave's been talking about him on Wrestling Observer Radio. Like, he's been a constant point of discussion, and he should be, because he's the greatest wrestler walking on earth right now. He's the biggest free agent that pro wrestling has seen in a long, long time. And you know what? He might just sign back with New Japan too. Don't discount that. He just might. So we'll see. But in the meantime, he's going around dropping these fantastic matches. We can't be mad. Great match. Check it out. Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Jordynne Grace won that. She defeated a whole bunch of people. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's a Royal Rumble, only not as great and a lot more Bubba Ray. So I'm not too stoked about it. What do you want from me? Let's talk about the surprises instead, because there were some legitimate surprise entrants here that made it fun. Again, like I can't completely shit on it. Not completely. Because it's not my thing, and look, the surprises that showed up were legitimate surprises. First of all, Juventud Guerrera showed up. I was like, okay, good for him. Getting a booking. Old Juvie Juice coming off here, using the, still coasting off of the that Chris Jericho match he had on Dynamite 16 months ago. When was that? Yeah, the Juice, man. He was there, so that was fun. Matt Cardona also showed up. That was and he's doing his Indie King stuff. So not doing any other gimmick. He came in as Matt Cardona and was in there long enough to screw over Brian Myers, his friend, his action figure collector best bud. Yeah, unfortunately, that sucks, right? But no, that was good. That was a nice surprise. But I think the biggest surprise, the one that took everyone, that got everyone buzzing, was Sunny Kiss showing up. And good for her. That honestly, I hadn't really considered Impact, but when I saw Sunny Kiss there, I was like, she's gonna fit right in. She's gonna be tremendous in this environment. Because look, Impact is already a little more loosey-goosey with the intergender stuff on their programming than AEW or definitely WWE. Either or, they still shy away from it being like official competition. Yeah, and I agree. Impact will be good for Sunny. And I hadn't realized until I saw her in that ring. I'm like, she's going to thrive here. She's going to be in an environment that has no real boundaries, that isn't afraid to go down this route, and she'll be surrounded by as much as on the men's side, then, or as much on the men's side as the women's side, just tremendous athletes who, and look, she had a spot with Bully Ray, who essentially worked with her to put her over in front of the crowd. That was great. Like, I think she is going to thrive there. I think, whatever was keeping Tony Khan from pressing down on the gas and using Sunny Kiss in AEW, I don't think it's going to be a factor here. I really don't. It makes me happy. I think this is, I don't see this at all like a demotion. I legitimately see this as an uptick, as a career upswing. Going to be great for Sunny. I was really glad to see that. Jake Something started off the gauntlet match, and he lasted there the longest, for, 72 hours or something. That's kind of how long the match felt. The final four were Bubba Ray, Jordan Grace, Matt Cardona, and Kylan King. But ultimately, the last two standing are Jordan and Bully Ray. And finally, Jordan Grace won the match by hitting the Juggernaut driver. Here we go. On old Bubba for the win. So that's tremendous. Good for her. And that means she gets a shot at whatever she wants. So we'll see what she decides to pick then as this because the Impact World Title match has been held by a woman before. So yeah, we'll see what's up with Jordan Grace, but good pick. I'm for it. Then we had the Impact Knockouts World Title match where Trinity successfully retained her title by defeating Mickie James. And this is, I hate to say it, but this was my low point of the show. And I hate it because I'll tell you why I hate it, because these are two pro wrestlers that I really like. These are two pro wrestlers that I overall enjoy their work, and I think are deserving of the spots that they're in. I think but look, it's one of these matches, and I'm sure you've seen one of these before. It's one of these matches where I'm looking at the wrestlers going along, doing their thing, doing what they do best, right? Pro wrestling. And I see what they're trying to do. Like I look at them and I'm like, okay, they're trying to do this. They're trying to do these sequences, these in and out of moves and so on and so forth. But it's not connecting. It's not working. And that's where I'm like, you should send in a coach to tell them, don't stop doing this shit, Like, they want to do, I could see the opening, the opening stuff where they're like, let's do, what we see a lot of guys and gals do, in and out of moves, smoothly connecting, transitioning out of grappling and into submissions and stuff like that. And look, Trinity is never going to be known for being a precision wrestler, I think what they were trying to accomplish in this match required a tremendous amount of smoothness, which is not a forte of Trinity. She's always been a little rough around the edges. Excuse me. A little sloppy. I thought this match was sloppy, frankly. But it didn't come across well. When they were trying out these sequences, I'm like, yeah, see, I see what you're trying to do. I see, it's like when you hear, your kid, practicing to play, practicing playing, Pink Floyd's Money on the guitar for the first time. You're like, yeah, I see what you're doing, but it's not great. But you'll still give him a little pat on the back and like, hey, good job, sport. Don't stop, don't give up. Practice makes perfect, etc. And the audience didn't seem into this match either. The biggest pop of this match came when Mickie James did the V thing with her tongue, the callback to the Trish Stratus stuff, and that was the biggest pop of the match. And Trinity lands head scissors into a Starstruck for the win. So I don't know. Wasn't awful, was it? But it wasn't good, But it wasn't awful. What did I rate this? How much did I give this? Battle of the Belts. Calling your shot. I gave this 2.5 out of 5. Average, mediocre, whatever you want to call it. So, Impact World Title match. Alex Shelley successfully retained his championship against Josh Alexander in a tremendous main event. Tremendous match from two of the best that Impact has to offer. And I think Impact has figured out that one of the ways to get people talking about your product, get excited about your product, is to put your top guys at the top of the card. Don't screw around, don't mess around, with, we'll do these combinations and these weird things. Put your best wrestlers in the top positions, and magically speaking, people are going to get excited about this. A lot of people in my circles were super stoked at the idea of Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander for the title in this spot, because we're like, these guys are tremendous workers and they're going to give everything they can to make this work. And they did. And it was tremendous. And I loved it. Probably the two best workers in Impact going at it. I don't know what more you want out of this. Fantastic opening sequence by the two. Getting things more and more heated as they go along. They're doing the testing the water stuff while poking the bear and poking and prodding and whatnot, and it turns into a strike exchange. It gets really heated. Alex Shelley starts working the arm. Josh Alexander the knee. Did I say? Yeah, I said Josh, not Jason. Josh Alexander the knee. Alexander leg laces Shelley around the post, and he does like he does the inverted hanging sharpshooter. Figure 4, I guess. Alexander lands a couple of German suplexes. Border City stretch follows by Shelley, but Alexander fights out of it. Both guys, they're just picking each other apart at this point. Open palm strikes by Shelley, who gets knocked the fuck down by Alexander with just one crazy lariat. We get a chaos theory by Alexander. A sliced bread off the post on the floor by Alex Shelley. Frog splash back into the ring and into another Border City stretch, but Alexander rolls into an ankle lock and then into a knee bar. Just tremendous stuff. And Shelley fights out, knocking the headgear off of Alexander. He's pummeling him so hard, just flies the hell off. Alexander fires off some elbows and some straight rights. Shell shock out of nowhere. Alex Shelley starts celebrating a little too much, and you're like, no, you have to cover the dude. What are you doing? But he lands a super kick and another shell shock, and he retains. Tremendous match. Absolutely tremendous match. And a great way to end the show. What more do you want? You just want great wrestling. And this show was a breeze, and this match was awesome. It lasted 22 minutes. Now, and it didn't feel that long. Like 22 minutes for a main event already ain't so bad. It's fine. It's kind of standard fare for main events these days. But it didn't even feel like that. It was just great. Great, violent well put together by two complete package pro wrestlers. And look, I know like we hear this a lot. It's a little rote, but everyone always talks about, send X to the G1. I want the G1. I really want the Josh Alexander G1 run. I don't think there's any wrestler right now, not even Danielson, not even Claudio. And I know people are big campaign right now for Claudio Castagnoli to get a G1 run. But quite frankly, I want the Josh Alexander G1. That's what I want. I want him to be put in a block with the workers. That's what I want. And I think it would be hot. Tremendous stuff. Josh Alexander, this is where you can tell where someone watches Impact. When you're talking about some of the great workers, the great wrestlers out there, and Josh Alexander will pop into the conversation, right? But Josh Alexander, because Impact doesn't have the spread that WWE, AEW have, not a lot of people. Let me say that again. I think he becomes easily forgettable despite how great a wrestler he is, and that's a shame. I think people toss him aside a little too easily. They don't keep up with his work. He is a tremendous pro wrestler. Like absolutely, absolutely tremendous pro wrestler. And isn't it kind of weird that since the North broke up, like he's the guy, even though his tag team partner went off to the bigger promotion, ended up being in the bigger spot, I think it is still Josh Alexander who is the more successful pro wrestler. Isn't that interesting? And he's probably a guy where he's like, I don't necessarily want to go to AEW, right? Maybe. He's king of the hill in Impact. He's tremendous. There's people in AEW I'd like to see him fight. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see him and Mox go at it like 20 minutes, mano y mano. Tremendous. Look, Josh Alexander is fantastic, and he's going to be the guy who's going to carry this new Impact, right? This TNA resurgence. So after the dust settles on this great main event, and we're talking about, and Alex Shelley's fantastic as well, right? Like he's a tremendous champion on top of that. But after the dust is settled, we get a vignette, and basically what happens here is Frankie Kazarian carries out a box out of the Lake of Reincarnation, and he's basically carrying out the crate that contained TNA, total nonstop action, out of it. They open it up to basically announce that Impact Wrestling is changing its name back to TNA Wrestling. To the shock of everyone. I'm like, bold move, Cotton. Really? So the rebrand, we got some details since, because I was just like, what? Who? And they put out a press release. So we got a little more details. And I thought this is going to be a one-time thing. They're just going to do like a cutesy little TNA revival, one night only. Didn't they do that too? They did that. Anyway. But the rebrand goes into effect for real across the company next year at Hard to Kill 2024, which is going to be in Las Vegas on January 13th. It will be the first time since 2017 that the promotion is going to be referred to as TNA. In the press release, President Scott D'Amore said, quote, "We still hear the TNA chants wherever we go. Fans have longed for TNA wrestling, so that's what we're bringing back in 2024. TNA wrestling, we're back." I think they're bringing it back. I'm not sure. I'd like him to say it one more time, just to make sure it's clear. Company officials confirmed also that the new year will launch a brand new look for TNA as well. Their, entrance ramp, turnbuckles, and they're even going to be running. They're going to start running larger, quote unquote, more prestigious venues. So we're going to go all out for this new TNA here. Scott D'Amore today on October 24 was interviewed by Tom Hannafan, Tom Phillips, on their digital networks or whatever, and this is what he had to say. Yeah, well, there's a couple of quotes here that stood out here. In regards to the name change, D'Amore said this, quote, "When I got here to Impact and took over the helm into 2018, the company had gone through so much. It had been TNA Wrestling, then Impact Wrestling. Then I think it might have briefly been TNA. Then it was GFW. Then it was Impact. Coming in." Oh, the GFW days. "Coming in, the last thing it needed was another name change. What it needed was to figure itself out. What it needed was stability. It needed consistency. It needed respectability. And we spent a lot of time under the Impact banner doing that. I think we've proven ourselves." But the fact is, when this company was formed, when this idea was first hatched, 3-man on a boat with Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett and Bob Ryder, it was total nonstop action wrestling. That's what they were looking for. And I think that while we found that stability under the Impact banner, and very proud of that, I think what we have now is we're ready to go there and have our growth and our true success. Our true second golden era under our true name, TNA Wrestling. Talked about a lot of stuff that we mentioned that came out of the press release, and changing, doing a lot of cosmetic changes to the ring and the ramp and whatnot. But he also mentioned that there were going to be new belt designs. So that's interesting for the hardcore belt nerds. I like me a good belt design. Unless they're egregiously awful, doesn't keep me awake at night. Doesn't whether they're good or not, unless they're particularly awful. So that's what he's got. So there'll be new belt designs, but he made sure to say, the lineages are the same. Everything's, if anything, I don't know, Scott, if you're listening right now, Scotty, Scottman, Scotty Doo. Hope you're not listening at this point. Bring back the Impact winged eagle version that you guys had, which is still to this day one of the prettiest championship belts in the history of pro wrestling. I thought that design was gorgeous. So that's tremendous. And look, again, I mean, the way they're presenting it, where they had a lot of stalwart. Look, there's no mistake why they had Frankie Kazarian come out of the Lake of Reincarnation. Well, I'm calling it the Lake of Reincarnation, but I think it makes it I think that's some top tier continuity there. Don't think that we're at the Jeff Harvey, right? The Hardy compound, specifically. I don't think it's, but I think it's interesting. It's interesting that Scott D'Amore is speaking about how strong they feel and how on solid footing they are. And honestly, I said this at the start of the review, and we're bringing it back here. I enjoy watching Impact shows, Impact pay-per-views most of the time. There's the occasional one where you're like, this one was a waste. But overall, like I've been telling you month after month, whenever I recap a show, these shows are usually very good. Bound for Glory, a tremendous show. Like, you could not have asked for a better show to make this type of announcement, to say, look, we're on solid footing. We've never been this stable. We've never been this strong. We're moving into TNA. Like, I believe it. Like, I buy into it because this show was incredibly strong. This was a very good show. So everything sort of meshed together into a package where you sit back, you look at it, and you're like, you know what? Impact TNA, they're on really solid footing. It looks like it's a good time to try something new. Another golden era, as they call it. Let's go. They have the talent for it. They have the people to pull it off. They've spent the better part of the last few years rebuilding again and creating this new subset of superstars to help them carry over to into the next era, this golden era, where they're going to be hitting up bigger venues. I mean, that's tremendous. It kind of ties into what we were talking about with the NWA earlier. It's like, I don't know how anyone can be mad at this. I don't know how anyone can be upset. More wrestling, more companies making more money, more opportunities for guys and gals to work at and make a living. If Impact is on the out and TNA's on the rise and making new opportunities and creating new places for people to wrestle and bigger venues, more money, everyone gets more money. Like, it's all positive, it's all good. Maybe we are in a wrestling boom and we just don't see. Like, I hear that a lot and I'm not convinced. I remember the last wrestling boom that, this ain't it. This is not it. But maybe we are. Maybe we're in some kind of low-key, a very low-key environment that is very rich with opportunities for wrestling promotions and wrestlers and wrestling fans to get their fill. I bet the people who are complaining that there's too much wrestling, I bet they were real upset about this. They're like, oh no, they're going to be bigger. Oh no. Please don't add an extra hour a week. I can't cover wrestling anymore. It's tremendous stuff. I'm excited for this, and I'm excited that along with the NWA, that TNA is solidifying its spot in the North American wrestling ecosystem, and I feel like it really does have a spot. It has this, and I think it's reached this sweet spot where it has like top tier talent, like really choice talent, people that could flip off is not the right word, that could just skip away to greener pastures on one of the bigger promotions, but don't feel tiny and don't feel small. And are engaging in environments that allow them to be good at what they do and showcase what they do, right? Like we were talking about Sunny Kiss earlier. Like she's going to flourish in this type of environment. Absolutely going to flourish. So why not just go down that road with everyone? And it feels like it really feels like Impact is in this sweet spot right now. And they're going to capitalize on it, bring back TNA. That's a hell of a choice, though. In 2023, to bring back your promotion name, TNA, because we know when they were sitting around coming up with the name, Wasn't like total nonstop action, or they were going you know, and in the early 2000s, it was, you know, okay, let's find the edgelords were everywhere. These days, I remember reading stories back then, you know, about how the name TNA was, in some circumstances, was a deterrent for big time advertisers or sponsors because TNA, right? Or because you think, well, is this pornography? What are we doing here? You know? So I find it's a ballsy move, regardless, in 2023 to do. Don't get me wrong. I understand the affection towards the name. I absolutely get it. And it makes sense. It is nonetheless a ballsy move. So, there you have it. TNA, Bound for Glory. A few news bits throughout that as well. But listen, I recommend the show. I recommend you watching the show. And if you don't have the time to sit down and watch, but honestly, it is a breezy 3 hours? It is a breeze of 3 hours of pro wrestling to watch. But if you don't have the 3 hours, which I can understand, I think you absolutely have to seek out Mike Bailey and Will Ospreay. And I'll even throw in the main event, Alexander and Shelley. But Will Ospreay and Mike Bailey, that's much must-watch stuff for 2023. It has to be in your linear eyeballs. Am I going to have my Battle of the Belts rant again? Is this where we're at again? Is this what we have to contend with one more time? I don't know what this show is for. I don't know look, if you're listening to this on demand, we had a nifty we did a Q&A, a community Q&A on the live stream, which is why you should join the live stream, because there's all these great things happening that you're not into. You just don't get to experience them. Neener. But when you do, we had a nice little question where we were talking about whether or not Rampage, should be moved nights, or should AEW get rid of it? Would AEW be better off, right? For me, it's Battle of the Belts. I don't understand what this programming is for. And, I'm redundant with my rant, but I feel like we have to recontextualize every time. When Tony Khan announced, hey, we're going to be doing super cards on TNT and TBS or whatever, and quarterly super cards, Battle of the Belts, I was like, this is exciting. I love the idea of bringing back the super cards, 1 hour on cable TV, and you have yourself, matches that you won't necessarily see, for whatever, but you title challenges and whatnot. The World Heavyweight Championship has never been disputed on a Battle of the Belts. This is ridiculous, first and foremost. We are currently, look, the last time a title changed hands on a Battle of the Belts show was on Battle of the Belts 2, and it was vacant. So no one lost the title. This is absurd. So I don't know what these shows are for. I don't know who they're for. And this show was marginally better than Battle of the Belts VII, which I thought was the pits. But not really all that, marginally better. But I'm not going to sit here and say this was a fantastic. It was not. This was a waste of time where nothing happened. And on top of that, the wrestling wasn't there. I thought this was a bad hour of pro wrestling. one shining grace on this show, but everything else, bad, disappointing. Like, it takes a special type of environment to make me dislike an Orange Cassidy match. Well, I think this is his blemish on his fantastic run of 2023. This is the blemish. His match with John Silver. Warren. What? They had such a good final stretch, though. Not good enough to rescue the entirety of the match. You know what was most exciting about Orange Cassidy versus John Silver? It's Jon Moxley shoulder blocking Orange Cassidy walking back up the ramp as they crisscrossed each other at the entrance, and then they just got into it. That was awesome. This match was not. What is the opposite of awesome? That's what it was. You have CJ Perry showing up to offer her services, her managerial services to Andrade. By the way, Andrade took a fucking beating against Danielson. Did you see how beat up the boy was? He got a big old knot on his forehead, and he's got blemishes, and his arm. Well, we already saw the welts on his arm from the match, but that guy got beat up. He got beat up. And she comes in and she says, I will make you the biggest star, the biggest champion, and the most handsome man, or something the most handsome man in AEW. And Andrade's standing there going, what? Me? What? And then and she fucks off, and then Lexi Nair's there, and Andrade's like, he doesn't know what to say, and Lexi says, well, I think she wants to manage you. And passes the mic to, she points the mic back at Andrade, who goes, me? Why? What a fucking failure of a segment. Like, what were we trying to accomplish here? That Andrade might be interested? That he doesn't quite understand what? Because it comes across as him. Look, if the idea was for Andrade, maybe his notes were, okay, she's going to come and offer you her services as a manager, but you don't quite understand why. But the way he delivered it, if that's the notes, that makes sense. But the way Andrade delivered it made it sound like, the fuck does she want? What? She wants to manage me? Why? What is this? I don't like, it came across, it was a random segment, and all of this just compounded and made it feel even more random. That was funny as hell. Me? Why? Tremendous match, Danielson and Andrade, by the way. That was fun as hell. But anyway. Then we had a squash for the Ring of Honor World title. Samoa Joe versus Tony Nese. It's fine. I guess the big story out of here is that Samoa Joe outright said, Max, I'm coming for you in the world title. This connects to my Dynamite review from last week, where I am completely digging this idea of MJF having to fend off challengers from all sides. This is dope as hell. This is what a world title should feel like. This is what, big angry dudes should be doing in pro wrestling. Is that, no, I'm going to challenge for the world title. I'm fucking Samoa Joe. And, and it's like, and so on. And this is how it should feel like. Brochacho bullshit is exactly, as per described here. The rest rules. This rules. All of this, Samoa Joe, and just killing Nese and picking up the mic and cutting another tremendous, Samoa Joe should be AEW World Champion. Does that, He should get a run with the belt. Because he's tremendous. Then the beacon of hope on this show, Chris Statlander defeated Willow Nightingale to retain the TBS title. Match of the night, and I mean, I don't even think it's close. And not a great match, but a really good, solid match. Like, at least here I'm like, this is entertaining. I had some fun, you know, from two wrestlers who, you know, who are power based. I dug it. Good, solid effort by both ladies here, both focusing on their strength. We get a fun slam off between the two, right? They're doing scoop slam, and then the other one, scoop slam, and then the other one's a scoop slam. You know, that's fun. You don't see, you see, you know, chop trading and whatnot, you know, and kicks and all that, strikes. But, you know, a scoop slam off? All right, let's do it. I liked it. They're kicking each other down. Somersault senton by Statlander and a blue thunderbomb. Nightingale lands the pounce. Avalanche Fireman's carry by Willow Nightingale. Cannonball in the corner, but Statlander, the Statlander lands a powerbomb and the 450, not the, what would have been, the Saturday night special. It was on Saturday, yes. Yeah, she lands a 450 for the win. I liked it. I liked this. Thought it was good. Good little match. Solid. Well done. Well executed. Nothing wrong with it. No next gear, no next level, but good. And then they have the thing with Sky Blue, who comes in to keep Willow Nightingale from shaking Chris Statlander's hand. But Willow shakes it anyway. Because I don't know if you lore nerds noticed, because I did. I am king nerd lore here. Willow got missed because it's all linked to Julia Hart misting people, right? But Willow refused to listen to Sky Blue and shook Statlander's hand regardless because, you know, the drippy shit under her eyes is not as drippy or prevalent as on Sky Blue. Sky Blue, she's got lots of drippy shit dripping down her eyes. She's got a lot of it. But Willow, I think she only really had one under one eye and just a little bit, like just really, you know, at the bottom. It didn't go past, you know, the ocular bone here. It's not the ocular bone, right? This is your skull. The ocular, I guess the crevice. What do you call this? The eye hole. You know, there's a bone here. And I don't think it went further than that. It's just a little bit of dribble. Whereas, you know, it's fucking, you know, Niagara Falls with Sky Blue. So Sky Blue, she's like full on mean because she's got all sorts of drippy shit. But Willow Nightingale, she's not completely mean here because she's got not a lot of drippy shit. That's the nerd lore analysis for you. And then we had the World Trios title match. The Acclaimed defeated the JAS Castoffs. I don't know. I couldn't care less. I don't think it was good. Average stuff happening. All centered around Daniel Garcia dancing. Okay? All centered around Daniel Garcia. You remember when all this started, sports entertainment was the villain. This was the crux of look at what's happening here. Chris Jericho creates the Jericho Appreciation Society of Sports Entertainers and brings them all together to create a stable of sports entertainment within, you know, this weird promotion where wrestling is put first. And they recruit the purest upcomer in the purest upcoming pro wrestler in Dan Garcia to make him a sports entertainer, right? And he gets his heat with that and he starts to do the gyrating dance thing and all that stuff. Now, the cast-offs the former cast-offs of the sports entertainment variety are now trying to keep the pure wrestler from doing sports entertainment. Now and this is getting heel reactions from the crowd. Oh, how we have slipped down this hill. We have just tumbled all the way down into a trench of sludge. Because I don't understand what's going on anymore. No, I actually do. This is the direction AEW has gone. We have proof right here. Been talking about it, but this is significant. The JAS, who should be pro sports entertainment, are keeping Daniel Garcia, the wrestler, the guy who we all saw as a pure wrestler, from doing sports entertainment. And the fact that they're keeping him from doing sports entertainment is getting boos from the crowd. Look, I'm just observing. I'm just pointing out the plot holes in this story. Because people come into, no, it's still very much pro wrestling. Why am I suddenly Dracula? No, it is suddenly all pro wrestling. It is still pro wrestling and all elite wrestling. Blah, blah. That's what Dracula tells me, when he comes at night. I don't let him in. I don't invite him in. I'm not smart. But he stands by my window. Dracula stands by my window, and he just asked me, he's like, oh, what do you think about the Ivar singles run in WWE? I'm like, Dracula, I don't give a shit. But you have to have an opinion. I think it's pretty good. Dracula just wants to mark out with me. He's just there. Like, did you see Seth Rollins in his crazy outfit this week? Boo-bay. Dracula, who cares? Go away. You want to see my replica Fiend world title? Just let me in, I'll show you. No. You're barking up the wrong tree, Dracula. Fine. Come back when you want to talk about Umera. Umera. Ooh, there you go, see? Hit the bricks, you casual. Go back to Transylvania with the other casuals. Blah. Anyway, Battle of the Belts sucks. It really does, and I don't know. Tony Khan doesn't give a shit about it. Doesn't care. I don't care. I don't know why you'd care. It stinks. It is a worthless hour of pro wrestling. There's nothing that comes out of it that's remotely interesting. Hit the bricks. Joseph Witheth is here, member of the Mr. Mr. of the... I can't talk. The Dracula bit broke me. There's something like infinitely sad about, Lord of the Night, the most famous of all vampires, Vlad Tepes, Lord Dracula, standing at my window, just talking to me about WWE angles. Yeah, Haley got the makeover thing because of JC Jane. Dracula, who cares? She was trying out all of the outfits and they did a montage. It was fantastic. Blah. All right. And now we're going to wrap up the show previewing this weekend's New Japan Strong show, Fighting Spirit Unleashed 2023. See how that works? It is on October 28th from Las Vegas, the Sam's Town Live. Good little card I find we have going here. I'm really interested in it. It seems pretty exciting. and I'm excited. And I just realized if I just pull up, because I have multiple sources to get these matches, but there's one match glaringly missing here. This is not it, but it is more. No. Master Wato is such a handsome devil, don't you find? Let's see. Okay, here we go. There we got it. I have it here. So, on the pre-show, in the kickoff match, we've got a strong Survivor match. New Japan Dojo guys. Now, listen. I think we're going to have to pull a moratorium on making fun of NXT names because these new dojo names that have been coming out recently, they're on the same level. We have to be completely fair and objective here. Matt Vandegrift versus Buck Skinner with a Leonard Skinner. Skynyr. Matt Vandegrift versus Buck Skinner. I'm sorry, guys, gals, non-binary pals. This is NXT name generator stuff. This isn't great. But that'll be fun. They did that at the they did that same type of match at the last Strong show for the during the opener. So, you know, some new up-and-comers, some fresh faces. Let's see what kind of people the dojo is pumping out these days. Buck Skinner, Matt Vandegrift. I don't know. Pluggo from the Between Two Beards podcast has joined us. Nice to see you, pal. First match from the main card is the number one contendership four-way match for the strong openweight title. We've got Fred Rosser versus Jeff Cobb versus Alex Coughlin versus Satoshi Kojima. Woo! Satoshi Kojima all over the place except main New Japan shows. Noted Antonio Inoki lover Satoshi Kojima was on the Wrestle Dream card, the Antonio Inoki tribute show, and now we have this where he's in this four-way. Honestly, this is going to be a blast. This is what we're opening with. This is match number one on the card. Kojima, Cobb, Coughlin, Rosser. This rules. Off the bat, this is I'm excited for this. Bread Club all the way. Then we have a tag team match. Stephanie Vaquer and Zeusis versus Johnny, Robbie, and Yuvia, I believe you pronounce it. CMLL folks, people that are competing in the Amazonas tournament as well. I'm excited to see this. This is going to be Vaquer's return to a New Japan Strong Ring. Her first return to a New Japan Strong Ring since her match with Mercedes Moné that kind of elevated her, had her enter the zeitgeist. I don't know how do you go about this one? How do you explain this? How do you say that entered the consciousness of a lot of North American fans? See, I have to stop saying North American when it comes to people who wrestle in Mexico, because Mexico's in North America, Warren. You have to stop being a stupid fucking asshole and a spaz dumbass, okay? Stop saying Mexico is not in North America. Warren, thank you. I will. So this is good. Look, Vaquer rules. She really does. Zeusis is also very good, and Johnny Robbie is on the upswing. She's going to be wrestling a lot more in CMLL, and I think she's 3 years in the business. So a rookie, but seems to be showing a lot of promise. So there you go. I know it's all America from North America to South America. I know. It's the Americans who, decided to grab that branding and call themselves exclusively Americans. As if the Venezuelans are not. I know the United States and Venezuela don't like each other, but still the Venezuelans could call themselves Americans because they're in South America and we're all Americans. Canadians could call themselves Americans if they really wanted to, but we don't. Anywho, Gabe Kidd versus Tom Lawler. I don't know, this feels kind of spunky. Is that it feels like a lot of spunk. I think this is going to be a spunky match. Two guys who are not afraid to beat the other guy up and get themselves beat up in the process. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. This card feels really good. Then we get a special 8-man tag commemorating the 40th anniversary of Atlantis. Very well-known, famous, long career, 40 years of wrestling for Atlantis in Lucha Libre. So we're going to have Atlantis Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Místico taking on Adrian Quest, Tiger Mask, Soberano Jr., and Rocky Romero. I wonder who the Technicos are in this show. I mean, listen, you want to talk about baby faces? Tana, Místico, Atlantis Jr., and Atlantis. And here's the thing, that Místico is not even the guy who's going to be working least here. He's not even the least mobile of the gang. This will be nice, right? Atlantis wrestling with his son, the ace of New Japan, the most popular wrestler in Mexico, versus the Rudos. I mean, the Rudos are going to eat shit. That's fine. So that's fun. I'm excited for this. This is just going to be nice. A nice tribute match. Atlantis is going to score the win probably, or, they're all going to celebrate and, everyone's going to high five. It's going to be good times. And we have the New Japan Strong Women's title match where Julia will be defending her title against Hyan. I've always had a big soft spot for Hyan. I think she's very good. I think she has a lot to offer. She's a very good package. I don't know why she's still slumming it on the indies for all these years. Look, if there's one thing that I think it's a shame of how Ring of Honor went with the Sinclair going down and so on and so forth, is that Hyan was, for all intents and purposes, going to be prominently featured on the women's division, and that kind of bums me out. Hyan's fantastic. Then we got Julia, who is a queen bee. She's tremendous, fantastic wrestler. Like, the more North Americans see Julia, the better for her, because she is just absolutely going to devastate. She's going to tear. She's going to break some hearts. She's going to create legions of fans. I would not be surprised if Mercedes Moné doesn't show up here, because they have unfinished business. This is the match, right? If Mercedes has got rid of the boot, and I believe she has, I think she's showing up. Might not get physical. I don't know if she's 100%, but they probably have a timetable for this. And I know a lot of people are expecting her in AEW, but I think, you got to finish up your stuff in New Japan before we move on here. So, look, Julia's retaining. I think that goes without saying. But this should be a fun match. Should be fun as hell. And hopefully, Hyan gets a bit of a breakout moment like Vaquer did. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know. I really like Hyan. Sue me. Then we have the strong open weight tag team titles. That'll be on the line. El Fantasma and Hikuleo taking on Alex Zane and Lance Archer. This should be a lot of fun. And you know what? I think Hikuleo and Lance Archer in the same ring should be great. I think Lance is going to bring out some great stuff out of Hikuleo. I think the champs retain. This should be a lot of fun. Then the strong openweight title, where Eddie Kingston will finally be defending his title against Henare. When I say finally, they've been poking at this one since the G1, since August. So we took a bit of a long winding road to get here, but we're here. I'm excited for this. Henare is a big guy, hard hitter, brawler type, fits in well with Eddie. Eddie sometimes needs someone to bring out the passion out of him, and I think a guy like Henare might do it. I think we might be surprised at how good this match is. Like, it will really go either way. It's the one that it could fall off, like it could be fantastic. But I think Eddie retains. I think he's going to retain the strong open weight championship until he drops the Ring of Honor title first. I think that's just how this is going to go, folks. The LIJ duo of Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi will be taking on Sanada, big draw man, Sanada, and Yuya Uemura. Back in the U.S., he can't keep the guy away. He loves his United States. He's already back. And I am excited to see Yuya tear it up here. Probably with Hiromu, but I'm excited for this. Just like it could be, here's the thing. It could also just be a bog standard Road to tag team match. Just a thing that you see on a tour and ultimately ends up being a lot of nothing. But if I'm not mistaken, this is pretty high up on the card. Let me see. Yeah, it's second from the top. So yeah. I want to see this. Yeah, I mean, I don't think, look, trying to say too many things at once. You'd think that they wouldn't do a Road 2 match when you're second from the top. But, Naito doesn't necessarily turn up for these types of matches. He's, that's the kind of worker he is. He's going to play it smart. He's not going to do anything stupid. Nothing to jeopardize the Wrestle Kingdom match. It's going to be a big match for him, a big night. Doesn't want to fuck it up. So I don't, as much as I'm looking forward to it, I'm not expecting anything really great out of it. But we'll see. Sanada, Naito, Hiromu, they all have great chemistry. And Yuya, man, Yuya. Forgot a match on the pre-show. Danny Lamlight, Royce Isaacs, and Jarrell Nelson. Isaacs and Nelson, of course, the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Be taking on Jacob Austin Young, Titus Alexander, and Balian Aki. Good for Aki and Alexander on this one here. Happy for them. And this will all be capped off with the Never Openweight Championship, where Tama Tonga, the champion, will be defending against Shingo Takagi. This is it for Tama, right? We talked about this. Look, he's in the ring with one of the best wrestlers on planet Earth in Shingo Takagi. He's in good hands. They've had matches before. They need to rise above here, and this is the main event on a stacked card, on something that has a little something for everyone, and overall is really well booked. Well, put together anyway. I'm excited for this show. I think it's going to be really good. Hope the main event delivers. Well, I'll be reviewing it next week. So, look, Tama's hit and miss. Shingo is fucking constant. He's the most consistently great guy that they have on this roster. And he does. I don't think he's winning the title. I think he's putting Tama over. I don't think they do this in North America, right? I don't think they do a never title switch in North America. I don't think. On a strong show. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't think so. We'll see, but I mean, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a good main event. I think both guys, look, Tama's always in this position where he has a lot to prove, and Shingo just rules. And in the meantime, we're going to have Kazuchika Okada on Dynamite on Wednesday. Maybe by the time you're listening to this is already done, but we're having Kazuchika Okada and Orange Cassidy versus, what is it, Mox and Claudio? Is it Mox and Claudio or Danielson and Claudio? I don't remember. It's the BCC. And come on. There you have it, folks. The weekly wrestling inspection. We're pretty much done here. Yeah, we're pretty much done. We're wrapping it up. We're hitting the old dusty trail, if you don't mind me using that expression. And even if you mind, it's too late now. No takey backsies. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for joining me live as we record this live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We always have a nice time, and we had a nice group of people. Lots of people I hadn't seen in a while pop in. Look, I get to know your faces. Well, not your faces, your names. I get to know everyone. So come on in if you ever have a chance. 7 p.m. Eastern, Tuesdays, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. That's where we watch it. If you're watching this on demand, that's where we record it. But if you were watching this on demand, thank you very much nonetheless, and consider leaving a like and a subscription here on the YouTube channel. Or if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, 5-star ratings on Spotify help out tremendously. They really do. Otherwise, I will be back on Thursday for a AEW Dynamite review. Gearing up to be a really fun-looking Dynamite, so I'm excited to talk about it already on Thursday. Then I will be back Saturday on the YouTube channel. Going to be live streaming my live video game gameplay video, live video game gameplay of The Quarry, an 80s slasher flick, decision-based video game. If you want to pop in, say hello. I'm trying this out. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to be, but I wanted to do something fun for Halloween. So there you go. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be celebrating Halloween live with a video game live stream this Saturday. So be sure to be there, and Sunday for the Collision review. So there you go. Packed stuff, always busy, but always here for you, my A+ audience. Thank you for joining this D-List podcaster. Once again, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.